Hello the YouTubes, Ash back once again with a bit of a weird video. Well, it's not weird, but it might be long. It's normally about this time of year that I start knocking up a top 10 best and worst movies of the year after I've reviewed them and I've been to see them in the cinemas. But because things haven't quite panned out that way this year, I decided I'd do a 2014 year in review because it's been a bit of a weird year for me. So if you're one of the subscribers who follow me for my Geekbox videos, or if you actually are one of the few that follow me for my movie reviews, then stick around because this might give you a bit more of an insight into who I am and how all this began. I apologise now because it might be quite a lengthy video. I do have a tendency to waffle on a bit because I don't actually think about these things before I sit down in front of the camera. Today I do have a list of things I want to cover, but whether I cover those in a succinct fashion or not remains to be seen. So please stick around to the end. I'll try and make it as short as I possibly can through the magic of editing. But you might learn a few things about me, about who I am. I think the most open video I've done so far was the Robin Williams depression one, and a lot of people learned stuff about me that they'd had no idea about. This might give you even more of an insight into my life, basically, and just the kind of year that I've had. So as the intro clip said, 2014 started a lot different to every other year. I was out of work, I was full of ideas, I had a bank account full of cash to make these ideas happen. And because life is life, that's not exactly how it all panned out. When I knew I was losing my job at the back end of 2013, I had this brilliant idea that with a bit of money behind us, with my redundancy payout, I could start to do what I've always wanted to do, and that is review movies on YouTube. Thought I'd have the money so I could get the equipment, I could use that money to live on for a bit, and hopefully, fingers crossed, YouTube would start to make money and I could live off that. I know you're not supposed to start a YouTube channel with the idea of making money, you're supposed to do it for the love, but I thought if you can do both, then you're winning, aren't you? But of course, anybody who has followed me from the beginning on this channel will realise it only actually started in July. Now, there are many reasons for this, but the biggest one is being self-confidence. I bought all the equipment, I set it up, I stood in front of the camera and I felt like a tit. And I couldn't bring myself to edit because you have to watch yourself over and over and over again and listen to the crap that you say that just comes off the top of your head in that moment, and I just didn't have the confidence or the self-belief to do it then. So my first thank you of 2014 goes out to Michael Bay for making that shitbox of a movie, Transformers: Age of Extinction. Because when I was sat in the cinema watching that, all I could think of was a written review is not going to get across how angry this film's making me, so I'm just going to have to go home, sit down in front of the camera, I sit down in front of my PC and use the Max FaceTime camera, and just put something out there, anything. It doesn't matter how crap it looks. I just had to get my thoughts out on that film in voice. And that's where it all began, when I realised that that camera actually works really well. And nobody really cares that much about your background. Yeah, I used to get a bit of grief about not having my bed made when it was in the background and stuff, but look at me. Do I look like somebody who lives like a king? Or any regular, tidy person? No. So once I'd done that, once I'd got the initial video out, I thought, well, that was easy. I don't see what the problem is. But by then, that has been 6 months into the year, and I'd built myself up to having a thicker skin to be able to deal with the inevitable bullying that's going to come from having this channel. Thankfully, I haven't had much of it yet. I've had one guy have a go at us, and he was well within his rights too. But my channel hasn't really taken off, so I don't have to worry about it for now. So remember at the start when I said I don't really think these things through? You can tell, because I've already skipped 6 months of the year. Back to January. Like I said, pocket full of dreams, bank account full of money. But because of my depression, no real drive to get things done. I was kind of sat on my arse all the time thinking, well, I'll get round to it tomorrow. I'm self-employed. I'll do what I want. That's another thing. I went self-employed at the start of the year, which really no idea why. I could have just sat on my arse, just stayed off the grid until I started to run out of money. That was a mistake. But nobody really explains to you what... Because I've worked since the day I left school. I didn't go to college or anything. I did an apprenticeship. So I had my last exam on the Thursday and started work on the Monday. I started my youth training scheme on the Monday. And since then, the longest I've been out of work is about 4 months, when I packed up and moved to Wales for a bit. Top life choices. So I didn't know how to go on. I didn't know what I was entitled to, how to sign on, how to set up on my own either. I didn't have any of that knowledge. All I had was this thing in the back of my head saying, right, I'm done now. I'm never going to work for anybody ever again. And I still have that. I'll come on to all the hassle I've had with benefits and stuff like that later on. And people are going to shout at me for that, because I'm going to go on a rant about it, but I don't care. This is my thoughts. This is my life. What was I talking about? Yeah, so having never been out of work, never knowing what I was entitled to, I just kind of lived off my redundancy money until it ran out and then signed on. Which I still think was the right way to go about it. In fact, I think if I'd done it, when I did sign on and told them I'd been living off my redundancy for 6 months, they were like, well, you were still entitled, you could have signed on. But then, by the time I'd have got to the point where I did sign on, I'd have run out of what I was entitled to from what I'd put into the system, and then I would be taking the taxpayers' money. And I wasn't okay with that. I don't want to sit and take the taxpayers' money. However, I also don't want to go out and find another job. Because of my mental state and the way that I am, I can't see myself working for somebody again. I want to do something. I will pluck my wick out if it's for me. I will graft 24 hours a day if I'm getting the full benefit of it. But I can't sit behind a desk staring at a computer, working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, staring at spreadsheets like I used to, for somebody else, somebody who doesn't even know I exist. I work for a massive company, and that director of that company would not even know my name. If I walked past her in the corridor, she wouldn't know who I was. What's the point in me grafting for something like that? It doesn't register in my head. I don't understand people who live for the company they work for. But all fair play to them, because without people like that, nothing would ever get done. It's just not me. So obviously I knew that YouTube wasn't going to be an instant thing. I wasn't overnight going to get as many subscribers as are required to make money off it. I knew that. So I'd already set up websites as well, where I did written movie reviews, toxic rants about anything that had pissed me off that week. And I had another one that was going to be a blog about my life. That's where I was going to talk about my depression and things like that. And I didn't really use that one. It's just sat there dormant. I did set up an online store for merchandise for my ThinkWalk website, because I had a cool logo made up by one of my friends. And I was going to sell mugs with quotes on from the rants that I did, until somebody pointed out I could probably do it cheaper myself. So I bought a mug printing press. And that turned out to be one of the best things I did this year, because the money I've made from that, printing mugs for other people, just send me an image, I'll put it on a mug for you, and charge them £7. The money I've made from that's actually kept me afloat for a bit. There have been many times where the mug money's got me out of a jam. Wow, there really is no structure to this, is there? I'm sorry. I hope you're managing to follow my train of thought and you're sticking with us. Depression brain, man. It's mental. So yeah, by the summer, by the time I did my first video, I was already running out of money. I was on my last legs. The car that I bought on the start of the year was also on its last legs, and I didn't have money to replace that. So cinema trips were looking like they were going to be very few and far between. By the time we got to August, cinema trips were impossible. I had no expendable income whatsoever. My car was completely dead. The nearest cinema, well, the cinema that I go to, is 20 miles away. So that's why the movie reviews stopped. That's why I had to rethink the channel. Thankfully, I'd subscribed to Loot Crate and Geekbox, and that's what kept me going. I think without those, I'll probably put out a video every 2 months, 2-3 months, I don't know. So obviously, because I was running out of money, because I didn't have a car, because I wasn't able to do the thing that I actually wanted to do this year, I started to slip back into the depression again. And then the news broke about Robin Williams and how he'd taken his own life due to his battle with depression. And that forced me to do, well, it didn't force me, you know, nobody had me at gunpoint, but that made me decide that I wanted to do that video telling people about mine and offering help. And I didn't expect anything to come of it. I'm not even sure why I did it to this day, but I'm so glad I did. the support that I've had and the messages I've had back since I've done it have been mind-blowing. And I know for a fact that I helped at least one person with that video. And that makes me happy every time I think about it. Obviously, I'm not going to say who it is or anything, but just knowing that I managed to reach out to somebody through what I did. It's not even a popular video. It stopped getting views at 200 and something. But in those 200 and something views, I changed one person's life. And that's amazing as far as I'm concerned. And it was that picked me back up again. It kicked me back into gear. I stopped wallowing in self-pity. I still didn't know what I was doing with my life, but I wasn't too concerned anymore. Oh yeah, I've missed out one of the biggest things of the year. At the start of the year, I entered into the program to get a gastric bypass because, you know, I'm not a slim guy. And because of my depression, it made it hard for me to stick to any kind of diet, to lose weight, to just be bothered, to care about what I looked like. So I thought if I got this surgery, this quick fix surgery, lost a shitload of weight straight away, I could get my life back on track. Granted, my life would never be the same again because there would be no point going out for meals because I could only have a forkful and then I'd be full. But at least I would feel comfortable in my own skin. I could go out, I could meet somebody, finally settle down. I mean, I'm 32-year-old and I was going nowhere. Then I had one of my appointments where I had to get the good old camera down the throat. And because my car had blew up, I couldn't get there. So I put out a request on Facebook for anyone who would give me a lift to the hospital on this one day. And one of my friends, well, it's credit where credit's due. 3 of my friends offered and I accepted them all. In the end, I went with the girl that I hadn't seen for a long time. The only time I'd seen her was to hand her a few mugs that I'd printed for her. But other than that, we hadn't really spent any time together for 12 years. So I thought it would be nice to have a catch-up. We could just sit and talk in the hospital and that and get to know each other again. Best thing I ever did. So, Katie Donahue, Lauren Ritson, I'm sorry I didn't take you up on your offer, but I'm not sorry at all because what happened absolutely changed my life. As a thank you to that girl for taking me to the hospital, I offered to help her move house the next week. And since then, I think we have spent about 2, 3 maybe nights apart. It's absolutely changed my life. I went from having no hope, no life, no future, to suddenly having a girlfriend and 2, let's call them stepkids. We're not married or anything, but in the blink of an eye, we moved in together, and now I have an awesome girlfriend and 2 awesome kids living with us, and a little rat dog. I've called this, I said to a few people, it's like social whiplash, but I've already got my compensation claim in. I've already had my life-changing compensation. It's fantastic. This was all building up to a point which I have forgotten. The gastric band, that's right. So because my life had suddenly got back on track, I didn't feel the need to have this stupid gastric bypass anymore. Fair play to anyone who wants it and anyone who gets it, and anybody who brings you down for wanting it and getting it, tell them to F off because they don't know the half of it. I guarantee you it's a skinny person saying that you're wasting taxpayers' money by getting it done, when in reality, you're wasting taxpayers' money by not getting it done. If you're struggling to lose weight, you're in and out of the doctors all the time. That's costing the NHS a fortune. If they can get you in, get you cinched and get you back out to lose weight on your own, you never have to go back again. It saves them millions. So if anyone has a go at you about it, just give them the middle finger. Having said that, I felt that I didn't need it. In the run-up to getting the operation, they make you go on a diet anyway, so I'd already lost 2 clem by this point. Clem is stone, for people who aren't from round where I am. I'd lost 2 stone by this point, and everyone tells me that it's still coming off. I'm not even trying, but because I'm happy and because I have somebody with me all the time, I'm not as bored anymore, so I'm not just sat in a room munching on anything I can get my hands on. So hopefully this time next year, I'll be a shadow of my former self. But even if I'm not, I don't care because I'll be happy. Whoever thought that I'll be saying that I'm happy? It's crazy to say out loud. So as well as inheriting an awesome girlfriend in Becca and bringing along her 2 kids and rat dog, She also brought along a business idea that she'd been sat on for 10 years and didn't know what to do with. So now Becca and me are working hard to bring this business to life. It's not easy, it's not going the way we planned, but it is going to happen because we're determined. And that's just something, again, happy, determined. These are things that were not in my vocabulary a couple of years ago, even back end of last year. So that's pretty much been my year. Very up and down. Started very up, went very down in the middle, and now high as a kite. Hopefully I can carry this, well, I say hopefully, not hopefully at all, I am. I'm going to carry this positivity into 2015. Me and Becca still have a few things to sort out in terms of finances. So I'm just going to go on a little bit of a rant, just to get this out, just to get it off my chest, and then maybe leave it in 2014. Durham County Council are the epitome of evil. They are. And I hope they see this. Because they are making my life miserable. As high as I am, and as happy as I am, I will be so much more happy if they would just get their act together and do their fucking jobs. I hate the fact that I'm sitting here crying about them not giving me enough money to live on. When, you know, it's benefit, it's taxpayers' money and I needed to live on. But I've been a taxpayer all my life. I should be entitled to some of that. And it's just the way they go about it. It's their business practice. They just keep sending me letters saying they're dropping my benefits down. I owe my best mate a shitload of money. And they owe me that money to pay back to him. And every time I reach out to try and get it back, they just move it further and further away. And it's really starting to piss me off because he keeps asking for his money back, which of course you would, and it is a pretty substantial amount. And all I keep saying is, it should be next week, and then every time I ring up, they move the goalpost again. And I can't even bring myself to text my best friend and say they've done it again. I already know they're shafting me out of 400 quid. Sort it out, Durham County Council. And I know it's not just me that you mess about like this, it's everyone I speak to. Nobody has a good word to say about you. But as I say, I hate the fact that I'm sat here complaining that I'm not getting enough money from you hard-working people out there. There will come a time where I'm paying back into the system and I'll be paying back more than I'd really like to, I can guarantee it. Because my business is going to be successful. It is. So anyway, that's the negativity that I'm leaving in 2014. I am bringing positivity and nothing but good thoughts into 2015. The business is going to get off the ground. It's going to be a slow burner, but it's going to end up epic. You mark my words, don't mark my words. But seriously, it's going to be good. So let's move away from me and cast a wider net on things around me that have made me happy this year or have influenced me in any way this year. We'll start off with my little sister finally getting engaged. Awesome news. Couldn't be happier for her. I've never seen her so happy, smiley for a long time. It's amazing. All the best, Chiz and Glyn. Can't wait to not go to your wedding next year because I hate weddings. I've got two potential world-beaten sports stars in the family, my cousin's kids. There's Brandon, who's 14. That's me and him there. He is going to be a little footballing maestro. Keep your eye out for Brandon Thorburn, world-beaten footballer, guarantee it. And then there's his younger brother, Bradley Thorburn, Thor, the Tank. I don't know what he likes to be called, but future boxing champ without a shadow of a doubt. I went to see him last week and kid's going to go places like. He's had 3 fights, won all 3. He's a bit of a beast. So that's just awesome to think that there's a potential for something that epic within the family. That's mint. And I did promise I would give them a shout out on one of my videos again, because I think they're the only 2 that actually watch them all. So cheers, lads. So obviously I've already mentioned my girlfriend Becca, but I couldn't have got through this year without her. She is my rock. She's my everything. She's fantastic. I just cannot believe how lucky I am to have her in my life and how it all happened. I often sit and think about all the little things that could have gone wrong. If I'd have got a lift to the hospital with somebody else or said no to helping her move because that is actually my own personal hell, so many things could have stopped us from getting together, but they didn't, and that's fantastic. And now I have Ali and James living with me, and they're fantastic as well. What an end to the year. My mum and dad have been fantastic, supporting me through this year. Obviously, back end of the year, having no money, and they're being there and understanding without being patronising. And that's a big thing for me, because I hate the position I've put myself in, and the last thing I need is people telling me about the position that I've put myself in, and they haven't done that. So thank you, Mum and Dad, love you to bits. And pretty much anybody else that I've come in contact with this year, you have influenced me somehow, in any way, shape or form. Even you watching this video right now, whether you know me or not, whether you like me or not, you are shaping my life. So thank you very much. I think this is probably going on a bit too long now. I was going to start talking about irrelevant crap like the movies of the year and the games of the year, but you don't want to hear that. You probably didn't want to hear all this. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to go, because as you can probably tell, my voice isn't holding out too well at the minute, which doesn't bode well for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the Tyne-Wear Derby, and I plan to shout a lot, because I'll have had a lot to drink. Over the festive period, I'm going to have a bit of a think about what to do with this channel, because people keep saying I don't put out enough content. People think I've actually left YouTube at times, because I tend to be just putting the unboxing videos up, and they're a month apart. So I'm going to have a think about what to do with it, and hopefully get a bit of direction in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks again. And if you're new to this channel, if you've just stumbled across this video somehow and you've liked what you've seen, please leave a like below, hit the subscribe button above, and tell your friends, tell your family, and don't tell me mum. Have a fantastic Christmas, great New Year. See you in 2015. Actually, you know what? You can tell me mum about this one, because you got a shout out.